Good evening, this is BelGeode and we are back with some more Aerofly FS2, and tonight we are here in Palm Springs, provided by Orbx, and we'll be flying out to Monterey, also provided by Orbx. And tonight I'm doing a viewer request. One of my viewers requested that we check out the Dash 8 Q400, which I have not shown for quite some time. The main reason why is apparently IPACS updated this bird. IPACS, I have a bone to pick with you. Why am I just now finding out that you updated this and some of the other aircraft in Aerofly FS2? What is going on here? There was nothing on Facebook, nothing on Twitter, nothing anywhere that indicated to us that you actually updated this. Folks, look at this. Do you see that thing up there? I want to show this to you here. This is new. This was not in Aerofly FS2 the last time I showed this aircraft. This is what I'm talking about here. Why am I just now finding out that there is a HUD in the Dash 8? Seriously, IPACS, who's doing your PR here? Come on, we need some help. All right, but enough of my ragging on IPACS. I've decided that we are going to be flying today from Palm Springs, which is an Orbx airport, to Monterey. So let's check out our flight plan really quick. Okay, so we are back on a nifty navigation screen, and hopefully you can see my mouse. All right, so we are currently at Palm Springs, which, as I mentioned, is an Orbx product. It is payware, but I do want to thank Orbx for both of these airports, at least the review versions of these airports. So our plan tonight is we're going to be taking off from Palm Springs, and we're going to be heading northwest. So from runway 31 left, we're going to pass by Big Bear, which is one of the default airports here in Aerofly FS2. And we're going to dogleg it to the left and go past the mountains. We're going to use the Lima Hotel Sierra VOR, and that is going to be our marking point for also heading left a little bit. We're going to pass by Santa Barbara Municipal Airport and the Romeo Zulu Sierra VOR. We're going to follow that to the right, and we're going to pass by Mike Quebec Oscar, which is over by San Luis Obispo. And then we're finally going to start our descent. Paso Robles, we're going to pass there, and we're going to head to ROM, or Romeo Oscar Mike VOR. And that should line us up perfectly to get into Monterey Regional, which, as I also mentioned, is in fact an Orbx airport. So we're going from Orbx to Orbx here, and I want to give you pretty much a good view of both of these airports. Of course, the one we're taking off from, you're really not going to see a whole heck of a lot of it because we're going to be leaving, but at least you will see Monterey. And the reason why I wanted to come in there is because, honestly, out of the two airports, that one is my favorite. I think that one looks the absolute coolest, and I love the fact that Orbx modeled everything around the area. All right, but as you can see, it's a pretty crooked path, so it's going to take us a little while. We'll use the magic of editing to go through it quickly. Okay, let's hop back in the cockpit. Alright, so we are back in the office, and now we know what our flight plan will consist of. So the next thing we need to do is make sure that everything is pretty much set for pushback and eventual takeoff. Let's see, I do know that we are going to need those fuel pumps on, the auxiliary pumps, so let me go ahead and take care of that right now. And just to remind you, the Dash 8 does have the capability to be started cold and dark in Aerofly FS2, but it is not set that way by default. When you first load up, the aircraft is already running. Since I've already done a video on how to cold and dark start this thing, it really hasn't changed since that time, so I decided instead to just pick it up with the engines already started. Alright, our cruise altitude is going to be about 20,000 feet. So I've just set that up here, and we'll also make sure that our heading bug is set to runway heading, and yes, I just activated our heading select as well. Okay, so we're pretty much good. Now, you're probably wondering, this being Aerofly FS2, I don't believe that we have a way to push back. So, the question is, as I turn on my taxi lights, how are we going to push back? Well, my friends, no pushback tug? No problem. We got reversers. See, what did I tell you? No problem at all. Although, I wouldn't exactly recommend you try this in a real Dash 8 Q400. But it is good to know that we have the option here in Aerofly FS2. And by the way, note to IPACS, you might want to think about adding perhaps a pushback feature for some of these aircraft here. That would be great. Unless it's, of course, something that you've already updated and just didn't bother to tell us. I don't know, man. I might not let that die this video, so be forewarned. Alright, but we are taxiing the runway 31 left, and you can already see some of Orbx's handiwork there with the beautiful palm trees. We are, of course, in Palm Springs, so yeah, I would expect to find some really beautiful palm trees here. We are, of course, in the middle of a desert. The other side of the airport's coming up. That's the GA side. We will not be visiting that in this video, but perhaps later. Let's set our flaps here and make sure our trim is also set. Yep, we are within takeoff trim. Okay, so let's go to the outside for the rest of this taxi, and I'll meet you at the threshold. Alright, so here we are at the threshold of runway 31 left. This is the longer of the two runways here at Palm Springs. The other one on the other side is conveniently placed for the GA side of the airport there, so I might show that off in a future episode. I've been meaning to show some of the aircraft that I haven't really flown, for example, like the P-38 Lightning and so on. But we'll get to that in another video at some point in time. Alright, parking brakes on, and there's our little caution light, which is perfectly fine. Okay, lights. Get our lights on, get our taxi lights off, make sure everything else is on, cabin pressure is set. I do not believe hypoxia and stuff is modeled yet, so we don't really have to worry about that. The HUD we will turn on later, but we'll get our spoilers armed. And let me just do a quick sweep, make sure everything's looking good. Okay, and we don't really need to mess with the radios here because, well, there's no ATC, so we're good to go. Alright, I don't see any traffic going out, and I don't see any traffic coming in. So, you know what that means, folks. It is time for us to take the active. Let's go outside for that. Alright, airspeed is alive and we're quickly approaching V1, VR, and holy crap, this thing practically takes off on its own. This is awesome. Okay, so we are at V2, and looks like we've got positive rates, so gear up. We'll pull up the flaps momentarily here. I want to kind of get us in a better position here. Alright, looking good, looking good. Almost ready to turn on the autopilot and all that good jazz. there we go. Let's get everything set up here really quick. All right, so we are definitely looking good. As you can see, we're just over V2, right about where we need to be. Vertical speed, I'm going to set that right now to about 2,400 feet per minute. That's good for a climb out, right? I should hope, anyway. We've got enough power. All right, so say goodbye to the lovely Palm Springs, and we are headed off into the desert. So this is an awesome thing. Now, let's show you this HUD in action. Look at this. Is that not the sweetest thing that you've ever seen for a Dash 8? And I know other aircraft have it as well, but I'm not flying any of the other aircraft right now. I'm flying the Dash 8. Alright, everything is looking smooth, and it looks like we're going to make it over these mountains, so now will probably be a good time to activate our lateral navigation. So there we go. That is now lining us up properly to the Basre waypoint. That's B-A-S-R-E, as you can see on the nifty HUD in front of me. Oh my god, I love this thing. I can't even explain to you just how good this feels in VR, to actually see a HUD right in front of you. And bear in mind, I'm a DCS player, right? So I fly the Tomcat, I fly the Hornet, I fly all of that good jazz. But this is cool, seeing an actual HUD here in a civilian aircraft, in a commuter aircraft. This is just awesome. I love this thing. And again, it goes back to IPACS. Why didn't you tell us this was available? Granted, they probably did post it on the IPACS forums, but I'll be honest with you, I don't have time to go to forums anymore. There's just so many forums that I'm a part of, and so many hours in the day that I have to get everything done. So yeah, it's definitely possible that it could have been mentioned and it simply was missed by me. But then that's why I've got you, the viewer of these videos, to inform me on some of the things that I need to see. Okay, we are at 10,000 feet, so let's go ahead and kill our landing lights. Alright, looking good, looking good. We will shallow out our ascent a little bit here. I don't think we need to keep it where we were at before, but as soon as we get over those mountains, we're going to be over by a Big Bear, so that should be perfectly fine. We're stable at around 200 knots. Well, it says 198, but that's all the more reason for us to lower our descent just a little bit, or our ascent, I should say. So instead of going at 2,400 feet per minute, we're going to bring it down a little. 2,000 to start with. We'll eventually knock it back to like 1,800 and maybe even 1,500 or 1,200. All right, and you can see our FMS there. I'm just zooming it out a little bit so that way we can see our next waypoint properly. And we can also still change the MFDs here. So I have it on engine setting right there. I could put it on fuel, but I'm not 100% sure that fuel is actually modeled in this thing. Yes, the fuel gauge does in fact go down, but I've never actually run out of fuel. So I really can't tell you for sure if that is in fact a thing here in Aerofly FS2. Now see here, folks, this is one of the things that I enjoy about California, even though I've only been there once and it was to the airport. If you look off to the left side, everything looks like a forest, almost like Return of the Jedi, if you will, the Endor scenes. And then on the other side, it all looks like Tatooine. It's wild like that. That's California for you. All right, but we are almost at our cruise altitude of 20,000, so we're going to bring our rate of ascent down again. 1,500 should be about fine. And that'll get us up to top of climb, which should be just before our waypoint over by Big Bear, where we're going to make that left. Holy crap. Do you see that? I forgot my flaps, the last stage of my flaps. Oh boy, it's been a while since I've flown this thing. Woo, okay. You saw nothing. That never happened. The flaps are fine. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, I do want to give a huge shout out to viewer Sam I Am Yoked. It was his idea for me to do a video with this Dash 8 featuring the updates. So there you go. Shout out to you, Sam I Am Yoked. All right. Now, I feel like changing seats, so let's hop over to the co-pilot side and we'll let Fred, our main pilot, take over. Alright, we are on the right side, and Fred, it is your plane for now. I caution you though, don't get too comfortable in that seat because I'm going to be asking for it back really soon. Okay, so the beep that we just heard is our indication that we're about 1,000 feet away from our cruise. Can't really see Big Bear because it's covered by clouds, but maybe if we go outside. Alright, I guess no joy with Big Bear today. These clouds are in the way. And by the way, I'm still not a huge fan of these clouds, IPACS. I don't know if you have anything in the works for replacing them, but yeah, I think it's about high time they got an update as well. Everything else is fine, it's just the clouds, well, they're a little lackluster. They kind of look like oil painting. Yeah, I know, it's a weird analogy, but I'm just going to go with that. Alright, and we are here at cruise altitude. Everything's looking good. There is Tatooine over that side there. I'm sure the Lars homestead is somewhere, and probably Jabba's sail barge still sitting there rusting. Over that side, you can see the greater Los Angeles area, and of course, all the various cities that surround it. I couldn't even tell you where to find a Hollywood sign, because let's be honest, folks, I don't really pay attention to anything going on in LA. It's just not my scene. I'm more of, I don't want to say a San Francisco person, but definitely a Northern California person. If I were to choose like one place, one area in California that I would love to visit on a more regular basis, it would be Northern California, starting from around Monterey and moving north past San Francisco and so on. I just think Northern California is more beautiful than Southern California, which just seems to me like either urban sprawl or desert, with, of course, a lovely range of mountains in between. Okay, let me check everything out here. Our speed is just about 262 knots. As you can see, we are just shy of the red tape. So, while we're cruising, in order to pass the time, I have a special gift for you. I'm going to play for you one of the songs written by one of the bands that I was in the early 2000s. The band's name is Daizy Cutter. This song is called Song X, and that's me on bass guitar and backing vocals.
It's not what it appears. been a long, long year, and I've been trapped inside my mind. But I'll rock your confidence, and I'll be the thorn in your side. You pull me out and I don't mind. Oh no, and you know that there's nothing else I'd rather do than know you. But you know that there's nothing left for you. What will tomorrow bring? Will I feel like a king, or like a twisted, wasted wreck? Oh, and when will the story end? I want back my confidence. When will I see sun through the rain? And you know that there's nothing else I'd rather do than know you. But you know that there's nothing left for you. And you know that there's nothing else I'd rather do than know you. But you know that there's nothing left for you.
Alright, so there you go. That was Daizy Cutter with Song X, and suddenly I feel like a DJ. I don't normally put music in my videos, unless of course it's music that comes with the sim or the game that I am using, or something that I actually helped to create in one of the bands that I was in the past. So I sincerely hope that you all enjoyed that, and that definitely ate up a chunk of time because we've already passed Santa Barbara, and we are currently headed almost due north, really. Alright, let's take a look at our fuel. Everything's looking good. I don't think we're going to run out anytime soon. Engine is still looking good, so yeah, we're good to go on everything here. Okay, so our next waypoint is going to be Mike, Quebec, Oscar, which I believe I mentioned is over by San Luis Obispo. That's where we're going to make our hard right-hand turn, and halfway between there and the next waypoint, we should be at our top of descent. So, this is going to be an interesting approach, and I've only come into Monterey Airport in this sim only a handful of times. My plan is thus: we're going to begin our descent. We've got a whole long valley that leads us directly to where we need to be. But just before we actually get on final or short final, there's a couple of hills in the way, so we really cannot come down that much. I'm thinking we're probably going to want to come down to about 5,000 feet, thereabouts, just to make sure that we clear those hills into Monterey. And then after we have positively ID'd that we have cleared these hills, then we're going to bring it down to the deck. Now, bear in mind, Monterey is probably no more than about 200 feet feet above sea level, perhaps less than that. So that means we're probably going to end up doing a tactical descent, as I like to call it. That's basically where we dive for the deck and hope for the best. But since I am experienced in such things, being a DCS pilot, hashtag Tomcats, we're going to see if we can make it work. Alright, so let's go back to the outside view for a little bit more cinematics, and when we come back in, we should be just about ready to make the right-hand turn. Welcome back, folks, and as you can see, we are currently headed inland. There is the rugged Pacific coast there, and somewhere down there is probably the Pacific Coast Highway as well, which is another road that I would love to be able to travel on someday, maybe after this virus decides to go away. Alright, so we have a little ways to go until we get to our top of descent, but I think now is probably a good time to set the altitude that we're going to be shooting for. So grab a hold of that, and there's our little beep. Pull it all the way down. Let me see. What did I say? 5,000? I think that was what I said in the last segment. So yeah, we're going to go with that. Alright, and then we will set up our VS, or our vertical speed, once we actually reach the top of descent marker. I'm still looking at that fuel there, and it says that we are getting a little low, but like I said, I don't think I will run out. I don't think I can actually run out in this thing. One thing I do want to call your attention to that has not been updated has been the cabin of this aircraft. You see what I mean? Yeah, that cabin looks like it has seen better days. Not quite sure why it hasn't been updated. I don't think any of the passenger aircraft, or at least the commercial ones, have been updated. So we can give IPACS a pass because, of course, they've got the Learjet and some of the other ones that do have functional cabins that you can actually sit back there, and it looks really cool. So there is that. All right, I think we're getting a little bit closer to our top of descent. I just want to make sure that we are just past these mountains. I want to say that might be the Sierra Nevadas. I don't know. My geography in this area is not as good as it could be, so you'll have to correct me in the comments if you don't mind, and inform me as to which mountain range that actually is down there. I just know that our valley is to the right of your screen, and that's in between this mountain range here and, of course, the other mountain range over there. And from my understanding, if we continued heading east and a little bit south of here, we'd actually hit up with Edwards Air Force Base. Needless to say, we will not be buzzing the tower today, Goose. One thing I am going to do really quick here is I'm setting my heading bug to runway heading. I believe it is 280 on the money. Of course, we'll find out once we get closer to the airport, but always is a good plan to get your runway heading set on your heading bug. Unless, of course, you're in IFR and need to use it for other purposes. Okay, now it is time for our descent, so we'll start out nice and easy here. Let's bring it into the minus first of all. We don't want to ascend, we want to descend. So 700 feet per minute to start with. and then we will gradually increase that negative number as we make our way down. Incidentally, it looks like we're about 23 miles away from the waypoint, so that should go by quickly now that we're descending. Honestly, folks, I have no idea what the heck was going on outside back there with that autopilot. It started turning us to the right before it turned us to the left. I have no clue what it was doing there. But I will say this, it looks like everything is fine now. We are headed in the proper direction, so that is good enough for me. And we're still on descent here. You can see we are just shy of 15,000 feet and coming down quite nicely at a clip of 1,200 feet per minute. I am, however, going to pull our power back a little bit more because we're still pretty close to that red tape there, so I'll take care of that momentarily. We are 55 minutes into the flying time, but of course it doesn't feel that long because of the magic of editing. So thank you for my editing skills on that one. Alright, and as you can see, the valley extends straight out. It's pretty cool stuff there. Wow. Now, you know, that actually brings to mind a good point. I don't know if I've told you all. Let me zoom this thing in for a second here. It looks like we've got about 45 miles to go. I don't know if I told you all what I do as a day job. So the company I work for, we deal with workers' compensation. My particular job is to find doctors around the country who can help our folks whenever they have any work comp injuries. We have contracts with multiple companies across the country. So we always need doctors everywhere. And the reason why I bring that up is I'm actually being asked to find doctors in this exact area that we're flying over right now. So earlier on this week, after I had already recorded the visuals that you're watching now for this episode, I actually made mention to my boss that, you know, I flew this area in my flight simulator and I can't find anything. There's like nothing out there. You can see it. There's nothing out there. It's all like desert and so on and so forth. So I guess I say that to say flight simulators do have some bearing or relevance in the real world. If I can use a flight simulator to give me kind of an idea of what an area is like, that's going to tell me how easy or difficult it is to actually find the people that we need to help the workers that we have under contract and so on. So if my boss is watching, see, I was not lying. Look at that. There's like nothing there. There might be a couple of farmlands there, but I seriously doubt there's an orthopedist's office there. So there you go. That's my excuse for getting out of work right now. I kid, of course. I really do love my job. Please don't fire me. Thank you. All right. Well, it looks like we even have the glide slope here, so let me zoom this thing in. I did say I was going to do that earlier. All right, there we go. About 35 miles out. We're looking good, bringing the power back. So let's go back to the outside view for a moment, and then we'll come back in for this approach. Okay, everything is still looking good, and hey, look, there's some actual towns there. There's some farmlands, and there's a town. There's probably going to be some doctor's offices there, so I'll have to make a note of that and see if I can begin my recruitment process over there. All right, let's see. We are at 11,000 feet, so we are almost ready to turn those lights on. We're probably going to want to be below 250 knots, however, so I'm still in the process of pulling everything back here. And we seem to have lost our glide slope also. You'll see it's like way at the bottom with the little glide slope indicator on the right-hand side of the HUD. I can't say enough good stuff about this HUD, though. I love this HUD. As I'm sure you're aware if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, I am not a commercial aviation aficionado. However, there is just something about a Dash 8, in particular this Dash 8. All right, let's get our landing lights on. So 1 and 2. Make sure everything else is kosher. Cabin pressure is coming down nicely. No caution and warning lights on anything. Okay, looks good, looks good. All right, I think we can pull this off. I'm a little bit concerned about those clouds, but we are under autopilot, and we do have it set to above the highest bit of terrain that's in our path, I hope. So we should be good to go there. And I am definitely going to need to pull that power back some more. Holy crap, we're still over 250. All right, flight idle it is. Hopefully that'll fix it. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Now we're at 248. Hey, we are legal. And we made it just before 10,000 feet. That is awesomeness right there. Now, the real question is going to be, will we be able to bring it down to the deck in time before we have to go around at Monterey? That is a question that I cannot answer just yet, but I sincerely hope that you are still tuned in, because I'm pretty sure you will get that answer before this video is done. All right, checking my flap speeds here. Okay, 200 for 5 degrees flaps. Whoops. Like I said, you did not see what happened earlier. Okay, so far everything is looking good. We are under 200 for our speed. We are just over 8,000 for our altitude. I took the liberty of changing our target altitude from 5,000 to 6,000 because I just have this nagging feeling that there might actually be a mountain that I am forgetting about on our way in. So I'd rather be safe than sorry, and like I said, we can do our little tactical approach to come into the airport. Unless, of course, we want to go around. And to be honest with you folks, in real life, if you miss an approach, you go around. You don't attempt to do a tactical approach and land on a runway anyway. But since this is not real life and this is Aerofly FS2, we're going to make it work. Because somehow, we always make it work. I don't know, I swear, I just wing this thing. If you've been a long-time watcher of this channel, you know it is extremely rare that I do everything by the book. Yeah, pretty much I'm just winging it here, and somehow, some way, it just happens to work. So, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? All right, we have our reference speeds coming up. So our target is 146 knots. So that's what I'm aiming for right now, pulling the power back. Rate of descent is currently at 1,500 feet per minute. I will shallow that out, however, because number one, I'm putting our flaps out since we are below 200 knots. I'll put the second stage of flaps out in a moment, and we will also get our gear down because I do have visual on the runway dead ahead. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I can definitely see it, and we're not quite lined up for it, but we will as soon as we hit that last waypoint directly ahead. So stay with me here because we are going to bring this puppy in. First, let me shallow her up a little bit so we can drop some speed, and I'll get those flaps and gear down for you. Alrighty, folks, we have 3 down and locked, so we are pretty good to go there. 3 nautical miles until our final waypoint, which is appropriately marked 28 left, or 28 Lima, I guess technically it is, but we all know that it means left. We got our flaps down, 1 more notch here, and after that we do have 1 more notch of flaps that we can put down. We may or may not need it, though. Speed is a little bit low, so let me pull that up just a touch here. And I noticed that fuel gauge really doesn't look like it's moved much. It's obviously using fuel, but I don't think we're in danger of running out anytime soon. I'll have to do that as an experiment at some point in time to see just what happens when you do run out of gas. Unless, of course, one of you in the viewing audience already knows, in which case you can probably tell me in the comments if it is modeled that your engines will shut off. I would like to see that as a possibility, but then here's the catch-22 with that. There is no real way of refueling this aircraft short of, reloading the sim scenario that you've currently set up. So I'm not quite sure if that would be a really good thing to have in the sim. And I think I would be okay with my engine still running on empty. So there you go. All right, all that yakking and our speed has increased a little bit. All right, I think what I will do here is I'm going to eventually take it off of autopilot. Like I said, we're planning on diving for the deck here. I'll try not to be very dramatic about it. As you can see, we're currently lined up on the runway. So we're going to pull the power back and go back to our VREF for approach. We are coming down, but obviously not fast enough for me to hit the glide slope. So, looks like we are hitting our target altitude, which as you can see, I've changed it again. It is now 3,000. I'm pretty sure we're good here. So there we go. We are just about there. Uh-oh. We are losing too much airspeed. I need to pull the power back up. Yeah, we don't want to go below 130. That would be bad. That would be pretty bad. All right, last stage of flaps coming up, and we're going to go ahead and turn off the autopilot in a second here. We're going to hand fly this baby in. As you can see, we are way over glide slope right now. I don't know about you folks, but I think it is that time. Let's go ahead and get our autopilot disengaged. We are hand flying this bird in, and let's see just how well I can pull this off. Okay, first order of business. We need to catch that glide slope here. Otherwise, we are never bringing this bird down. So that is my priority. I've got the power pulled back a little bit, trying to keep us between our VREF for approach and our target speed for landing. We're just basically trying to catch up with the glide slope. You can see I've got white all over that VASI light, and we are just passing MDA right now, which I believe I had set for 2500. Yeah, you can see it right there on the HUD. Everything is niftily displayed on the HUD, except of course I don't think it shows me my flap settings, my current flap settings, and whether or not my gear's down. But we already confirmed that everything's kosher there, so we're good to go. All right, we're still in the process of a hasty little descent here. You can see that hill that I was worried about up ahead, but it looks like it is a lot lower than I thought it was. So I'm just going to wrestle this aircraft down a little bit more here. We've got plenty of speed to spare. We're down to 1,400 feet. And you know what, folks? I do believe we're going to make this. Let's go to the outside view real quick. Here it is, folks. It has come to this. We are on short final. Everything is looking pretty good. It has taken us 1 hour and 11 minutes from takeoff to right about now. And as you can see, I finally caught up with the glide slope. So now all we need to do is just hold this angle of attack, and everything should go swimmingly. I'm hoping anyway. We're down to about 600 feet. There should be the callouts, but in typical BelGeode fashion, I will go to the outside view once those callouts happen, so that way we can see this landing from the outside, and you too can rate my landing. Yay! Actually, I hate rate my landing post. Don't even think about doing that to this video. Okay, time to go outside. Woohoo! Was there ever any doubt? I told you, we made it. Alrighty folks, welcome to Monterey, California, provided by Orbx Systems. Yay! Alright, now that we're done with the HUD, thank you very much for that assistance there, HUD. We'll get our landing lights off, we'll turn our taxi lights on, and we'll take this high-speed turn off here and make our way to the terminal. So I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this Orbx to Orbx flight that we have done for this episode here. Alright, so in typical Orbx fashion, this airport is beautifully rendered. It's got the people, some of them even move, and of course there's tons of static aircraft all over the place. I don't believe any developer has really gotten into making moving AI aircraft for any of the Aerofly FS2 airports. I know that there are free add-ons for Aerofly FS2 that'll have traffic moving around. I believe I showed you one in the Key West episode that I did a little while back. We are going to be heading out to Hawaii for the next episode because there is another free add-on that I want to call your attention to, and I may do not one but 2 episodes out that way. So be sure to check in for that on the next episode of Aerofly FS2. For now, let's see if we can park this bird. Alright, almost got it. Almost got it. This guy might want to turn around here because I don't want to accidentally bump his booty with my nose. He's just in his own little world. Look at him. Look at him. That's awesome. Alright, but we are here. We are safe. And let's go ahead and get our parking brakes on. And I will quickly go ahead and turn everything off. So while I am doing the shutdown procedure for this aircraft, I would like to thank you as always for watching. This has been BelGeode. I have been flying, of course, in Aerofly FS2. And the whole purpose of this video was the viewer request that I received from viewer Sam I Am Yoked. So huge shout out again to Sam I Am Yoked. Thank you for the suggestion. I will caution you all to say it is not that often that I do viewer requests, but because this is Aerofly FS2 and I have not shown it in quite some time, and obviously there's a lot to show now with all these updates, I felt like I needed to honor this viewer request. So thank you again for the suggestion, and I hope this is exactly what you were looking for. Just to remind you, the scenery that we've been seeing today is all by Orbx. Huge thank you to Orbx and IPACS for the review versions of these sceneries. And what we've been seeing has been Palm Springs and Monterey. So if you're interested, head over to either the Orbx website, or you may go to the Steam store and pick up both of these sceneries. I highly recommend it. Some of the best looking airports in Aerofly FS2. Absolutely, hands down. Okay, with all of that having been said, as I alluded to earlier, for the next episode, we are going to be going to Hawaii, in particular, the two smaller islands of Hawaii. And I'm going to be showing you the add-on that has come out that has absolutely made those two smaller islands look incredible. But I don't know when that video is coming yet, so you'll have to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and you will get notifications of that. If you enjoyed this video, however, please feel free to give me a like, and yeah, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I will be back sometime really soon with another Aerofly FS2 video. This is BelGeode signing out. Ciao!